Okay, great. Thank you so much, Bill. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We will call to order this regular meeting of the Lawrence County Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, June 27th of 2023. Appreciate everybody being here. We would ask if you have any type of an electronic communication device, if you'd be kind enough to put it on silent or vibrate. We would certainly appreciate that courtesy. We always begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we would ask you to remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Commissioner Spielvogel, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you please remain standing, we'll have a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Vanessa, would you mind calling the roll, please?
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Buick?
Present.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here, we do have a quorum. All three commissioners are here. We always have time for public comment, both in a few moments and then right before we adjourn. If you do have public comments, we certainly welcome them. We ask that they be related to county government matters. And we also ask if you're able to try to limit your time to about 5 minutes or so. We'd appreciate that as well. The next item on the agenda would be row officer reports, comments. We don't have any row officers here today. I should probably note for the record, they're not required to be here. There's nothing in the law that says that a row officer has to be at this meeting. So I don't want people thinking, well, how come the row officers are never there? Well, they don't have to be there. When they are here, we always give them the courtesy of any comments that they might have. And I want to assure the people listening that our row officers, to a person, they're here every day and they work hard every day. I just bumped into Sheriff Bolero out in the hallway, and those folks are all very hard working.
Yes.
So with that, are there any public comments? I see folks in the audience who have some reports to give later, but are there any public comments right now? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to fiscal and contractual. And today we have one repository property that has been submitted to us. This comes from New Beaver Borough, and the bid was made by Mr. Maximilian Knechtel. It's a parcel at 124 Center Lane in the borough of New Beaver. The dollar amount was $550. His bid has been accepted by the Borough Council, and it's now up to us to also then accept Mr. Knechtel's bid of $550 for this piece of property in New Beaver Borough. Vanessa, what number was this fee?
181.
181.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
A motion would be in order if one of you wishes to make one.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Any questions or concerns?
No.
Okay, the motion has been made to accept Mr. Knechtel's bid, and this is in conjunction with the action already taken by the Borough Council and the school board. If there are no other questions or comments, we can do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. Next on the agenda are the warrant registers, which are provided to us by the County Controller's Office. This is a listing of the checks that have been cut. These are dated June 22 and June 16. And I'll give my colleagues whatever time they might need to look them over. And if there are any questions, certainly feel free to raise them at this time. I also note that every document to which we are referring, they're available here if anybody wishes to see them.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Moved and seconded to accept these documents. Are there any questions or concerns from either of you? Okay, thank you. We'll do a quick roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have the minutes of the June 20 Commissioners meeting in our packet. Again, for Brian and Loretta, if you would like to look them over, and then whenever one of you is ready, I can take a motion to adopt these minutes.
I will so move.
Second.
I thank you both. Any questions or concerns about the minutes?
No.
Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have one piece of written correspondence today. It is dated June 22. It comes from Mr. Jason Fox, who is the compliance manager of Hickory Run Energy, which is based in North Beaver Township. This is a notice of renewal for a general permit, WMGM 049, which is a residual waste general permit for the beneficial use of reclaimed water as non-contact cooling and/or processed water at its natural gas-fired combined cycle electric generating facility. This, of course, is the gas-fired power plant in North Beaver Township off of State Route 551. And this permit is administered by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. This plant, the company that built it made an investment of over $800 million in this plant. And approximately 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. But I do remember, I think right after you took office, did we not go out there for a
We
tour?
did, we took a tour. Yes, we did.
But
Impressive.
very
Very
impressive, yes,
impressive.
ma'am. And it is the largest property taxpayer in the county in terms of dollar amounts that we receive from any entity. It's the #1 taxpayer, and not only for us, but for the Mohawk School District and for North Beaver Township. It's an impressive facility. Let me ask if there are any questions or concerns about the letter.
Move for its approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you both. Any other concerns or questions?
No.
And approve the letter. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Under reports, we have commissioner reports and comments. We have staff reports. We do have some staff folks here. Are there any items over and above what you might have for us? Or it's not on the agenda? Thank you. Under commissioner reports and comments, we always rotate whose turn it is, and today I guess I get to go first. I have just two things to mention. We received correspondence from the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency. They have completed their review of Lawrence County Public Safety Department's combined report for 2022 funding period. And the review is to determine if 911 funds, which were dispersed to Lawrence County, were utilized in accordance with Chapter 53 of Title 35, as well as PEMA's 911 program policies. And the report, but it does get right to the point. And the good news is that for the year 2022, all expenditures reported by the County of Lawrence have met the eligibility guidelines. And it goes on to point out the dollars received and the dollars spent, and they balance, they equal one another. So I just wanted to make note of that, enter it into the record. And I owe you both an apology. I meant to copy this and provide it to you. So I will do that. But for now, I can just hand it to you, but I will get you each a copy. The only other thing I'll mention, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has an agency known as the Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commission. based in Harrisburg, and they publish quarterly a magazine known as Pennsylvania Heritage Magazine. And it focuses on of the Commonwealth. Well, this current edition, summer of 2023, has a native of Lawrence County on the front cover. He's Richie Allen, or Dick Allen, who grew up in the Chewton Wampum area and went on to become a professional baseball player. You came in just at the right time, Debbie. I'll rewind just a little bit. We're up to commissioner reports and comments, and I was noting that the Pennsylvania history, and I have a copy of this for you, what I'm going to be talking about. The Pennsylvania Historic Museum Commission publishes a quarterly magazine known as Pennsylvania Heritage, and this month's front cover, and by the way, I sent this down to Mr. Sirianni. He already has a copy.
Okay.
But Wampum native Dick Allen, or Richie Allen, who grew up in the Chewton Wampum area, is the cover story in this magazine. And the headline reads, Wampum Walloper. It's the last interview with baseball legend Dick Allen. Now, Mr. Allen passed away just a couple of years ago. And as many of you know, he attended Wampum High School, played on the Wampum basketball team, one of their big teams, of which there were many. It has a picture of him as a high school basketball player. I'll get you a copy as well. And I think I gave you one, didn't I? I'll see that you get one. It has his senior year picture. It has his mother's picture. I actually met Mrs. Allen when I was a young man. He built a house for her down near Stonecrest Golf Course in New Beaver Borough after he became a Major League Baseball player. It was a nice ranch-style house. It's still standing, but it's got a wonderful picture of Mrs. Allen, and then it's got, probably got the pages out of order here. It's got a picture of him when he was in the minor leagues, and then when he was in the major leagues with the Philadelphia Phillies, and then he went on to play for the White Sox. And if I'm not mistaken, when he played for the White Sox, I think Chuck Tanner may have been part of that. May have either been a coach or a manager at the time. I'll have to double check that. Now, then it has some more current pictures. But Mr. Allen passed away just a few years ago. And the sad thing is that so far he has not been admitted to the Baseball Hall of Fame. From what I understand, he has come close a few times, but I think if anyone deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, it's Mr. Allen. One final note of trivia: when he was in high school in Wampum, his friends nicknamed him Sleepy. Sleepy Allen was his nickname. But then he went on to major leagues, and it was Richie, and then he preferred to be called Dick Allen. But he made the front cover of the magazine, so real proud of that. That's all I have this morning. Let's see, Loretta's next.
I'm next, okay. So just, we attend different meetings or on different boards, and there's always somewhere to go and something to do after hours and on the weekends. Well, I was in Elwood City this weekend, and Dan, you'll appreciate this because you made the right decision to not participate in the dunking booth. I unfortunately did participate.
Did you really?
I did. You see that, Bruce?
Oh my God. I told him I was too old.
Well, and I'm as old as you, so I should have said I'm too old. I must be in denial. Great services in Elwood event at Ewing Park, Dog Days of Summer, and it fit the canine units throughout the county. And we were asked if we wanted to volunteer to sit in the dunking booth. And of course, I said, yes, I would do that. It's my own fault because if I knew that my elbows were hitting this step, I should have put my elbows in when I got dunked because I did get dunked quite a bit. But it was for a good cause. And I do have to say, it was an excellent event to see the different the displays, different types of units that there were, the demonstrations of types of dogs. They actually showed, a car being searched, someone taken down. They had dock dogs there that actually showed, the dock dogs is out of
DOC?
Pittsburgh, DOCK
Oh,
dogs
DOC.
out of Pittsburgh, water dogs, doing rescues, and opportunity to try to get their dog to jump to, grab the toy, so to speak. But it was very, very interesting, very educational, and kudos to Reed Services for doing that, because the monies do benefit the different canines. And I just wanted to acknowledge that our dog, our explosives dog out of the Sheriff's Department that is handled by John Baldelli, was there as well, and was able to complete a search for, he was there to find shell casings from, this is so interesting, now mind you, it had rained, they were in the grass, and these shell casings were from, they had been fired, I believe he said in January. That's how fine his nose is for that scent. It was very interesting to see, it was very interesting to watch. And apart from the bruising, I was glad that I was there to be able to participate. So, thank you.
You have my admiration and respect.
And sympathy is good.
Yeah, because when they called me, I said, well, if I were 20 years younger, I'd probably do it. But boy, I admire you.
Yeah.
It's great.
Lots of ibuprofen. No, I don't know, ibuprofen. Yeah. It was fun.
Good.
It was fun. It was very interesting.
They gave you a towel to dry off.
I brought my own. Brought my own.
Thank you,
Oh.
Mr. Burek.
I want to know why I wasn't invited to be in the dunk booth in Elwood City over the weekend. I did not get that call, or if I did, I might
Would
have
you
missed
have
it.
done it?
You're
Younger than me.
I did it when I was commissioner before at the fireworks festival in
Okay.
downtown Newcastle, and after I did that, I said, never again would I do that. That's definitely a young person's game to sit in the dunking
Yes,
booth and
yeah.
fall. When that lever gets hit by the ball, you drop hard.
You
and-
do. Which was so surprising. I thought, I'm gonna have to probably make myself dunk myself in there because it's not very high there. You go straight down.
Now, your feet hit the bottom.
Everything hits the bottom.
So
Your body hits the bottom.
I'm glad I was not in the dunk booth, but thank you. I read about that event in the Newcastle News. That was a very good event for the
It was,
police canines
yeah.
and the sheriff's canines. So very impressive. The only other, I have no other report, other than I might just mention, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but my dad was a little bit older than Mr. Allen, and grew up in the Chewton area and played ball on the Chewton ball field, which, as you know, it's called Reserve Square up there in the middle of Chewton in Wayne Township. And my dad, when I was growing up, my dad told me stories about Richie Allen and what an athlete he was when he was young. If I'm not mistaken, he also had two brothers that also made it. They weren't as big of stars, but they also made it into Major League Baseball, into the pro level, at least the minor leagues.
That's
And,
right. Harold and Ronnie.
Harold, Ronnie, and Richie, three brothers. So yeah, great. Had met the Allen family as well. So that's great. And I know you were especially proud because of the Wampum connection that you had to bring that up. But many good people come out of Wampum, PA. So
I'm the only exception to that.
that's my only report.
Thank you very much. I forgot one other thing. Last week, I attended the board meeting. In fact, I happen to chair the board right now of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania's Workers' Compensation Trust Fund Board. That's a mouthful. It's essentially the workers' compensation fund that covers member counties, of which Lawrence County is a member. And for the past number of years, as we've discussed here, we refer to it as PCOM, has administered and allocated safety grants to counties, and we've utilized those dollars in the past. The board agreed this past week to continue that as long as our finances permit it. Right now they do. There's enough of a surplus in the fund that we can return some of these dollars through these safety grants. But we also agreed to add a new type of grant. Now, it'll be a smaller dollar amount, but it will be what will be known as a wellness grant, applied to one's physical, and Scott, you'll appreciate this, physical and mental wellness. And all of the details are being ironed out, but I'm hoping that within the year, we'll receive information from the Workers' Compensation Board for the opportunity for us to apply for this grant. Now, to start with, it might only be about a $5,000 grant. We need to see what we can use it for, but we might be consulting with you. One of the staff members is a nurse, and she is very adamant, and I'm sure you'll concur, that there is a direct correlation between the healthy people. She said the healthier people are, the less likely there is that you'll have worker compensation claims. She says the evidence proves that. So she was a strong proponent for this. So I just want to let you know that this should be forthcoming over and above a continuation of the safety grants. So thank you for letting me share that. And then thank you both for your reports. New business. We have Vanessa Lovely with us today. Good morning. I apologize. We should have a chair there. Scott, thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott. I was gonna drag it over myself, but I might have fallen.
That's true. We don't want that, right?
We don't.
Vanessa, I think you've been here and you've met Mr. Buick.
Yes, I have.
Okay, great.
Nice to
Well,
see you.
welcome as always, and you have a proposed resolution regarding the medical assistance transportation program. I'll let you fill us in.
Well, good morning. I'm here today representing Lawrence County Social Services, part of LCAP. We're asking for your consideration to continue the agreement between the county and LCSS for the medical assistance transportation program. With the county's permission, we submitted an application for the new fiscal year starting July 1. The new grant is in the amount of $2,352,382. And the LCSS cost per trip that we would invoice the county would be $22.30. This current fiscal year, it's $22.04. So it's a small increase. But as with everything's going up, cost of doing business and everything. So, the reason for the increase in the total allocation is the last 2 fiscal years, we had submitted an original application to DHS, and the number of trips, the number of people who are coming forward and needing this free medical to their medical and pharmacy appointments is just skyrocketing, and it continues to. My staff signed up 65 new individuals who have medical assistance and need transportation to those medical appointments last week alone. So it's booming, and that's why we are projecting that the county could provide up to 104,000 trips. These trips would be provided whether it be mileage reimbursement if the family owns a car or has access to a car, the transit authority, bus passes, or on the ACT door-to-door service. And the mode of transportation is based on the recipient's physical and medical needs, and then the location of where they need to go to see the doctor. So I feel like I'm a little all over the place, but any questions?
Loretta, questions for Vanessa?
You may think that you're all over the place, but you always give a very good explanation of what it is that you do. You do. Not a surprise that the need. I think that it's a trend that would continue. So thank you for putting that into the formula, knowing that it will be happening. Thank you.
Mr. Buick, questions for Vanessa?
I was gonna ask if you had a ballpark figure how many rides you provided last year. You did mention that this funding may cover up to 104,000 trips, but do you have a ballpark figure how many rides you actually provided in the current fiscal year?
Yes, projecting through June 30, about 90,000. So we keep growing year over year, so I went up quite a bit for the new year.
I know many people that do rely on that service, so thank you and thank you for what you do.
And just to clarify, this covers the entire county of Lawrence, is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. And transportation services are provided, into Pittsburgh, into Shenango Valley. If they're referred to a specialist that may be outside of the county, it still falls under this program. But yes, absolutely, the entire county.
Very good.
Any other questions for Vanessa? If not, I could entertain then a motion for approval of Resolution 182.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Further discussion or comments? Hearing none. Vanessa Bayless, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. You're always welcome to stay, but I'm sure you've got a lot going on, so if you have to head out, we understand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, forgive me for a second. I'm looking ahead and I see that later on in the agenda, we have a budget amendment for the Veterans Office. I suspect that that's why you're here today, Jesse.
Yes.
I hate to keep you waiting. I know, not that you gentlemen aren't busy, but I know you've got a lot of folks coming in and out of your office and would there be any objection? I hope you guys don't mind. Any objection if we jump down to number 18 to consider Jesse's request? Any problems with that? Let me find it here. It's a budget amendment, and it's right before it's the Veterans Transportation. Jesse, would you mind coming up and we can discuss this?
Sure.
Thank you for your. Jesse, what this budget amendment looks, it looks as though we're increasing the revenue account by 10,000, and then also earmarking that for the other services general fund expense fund account by the same amount. But do you have any other details you have to offer on this?
I do, and it's very easy. You just did this because it actually goes for transportation. I received a $10,000 grant from the state, the Veterans Trust Fund. And I was awarded $10,000 for transportation of Lawrence County. Again, that's a barrier we're seeing with people in general. But the VA has lost their volunteers for our DAV vans. So veterans are not getting fair appointments. And we have what's called Care in the Community, which they could send them to Farrell, they're sending them to Pittsburgh. Our veterans in Lawrence County can always make that trip. So this will provide transportation. I do have an individual who is from Lawrence County, Big Daddy L, 316 LLC,
Yes.
who is a veteran himself.
Yes.
He named his company after his brother, who's a veteran who has passed away. So he'll be providing transportation. It also is for their common physical exams. We call a veteran files for a service-connected claim to the VA. They are now going 50 to 120 miles outside of Florida. Veterans can't do that. So this will also provide the transportation for them.
Well, thank you. Mr. Burek, do you have questions for?
I was going to ask if there's still veterans who drive the van, and what happened to that program? Just not enough volunteers, or liability reasons, or?
Just not volunteers anymore. They're older and they're not doing, and the VA is they have a very stringent physical exam now. Well, they always have, but a lot are not passing the exam anymore because of their age. So they're losing drivers.
I knew two gentlemen that did that, but they're both well into their 80s now. They're probably no longer able themselves physically to drive other veterans to appointments.
Thank you. Loretta?
No, and it's good that the need is going to be met, that it was acknowledged that there was a deficit, and to be able to move forward with it, that's great. Good. Definitely needed to get them connected to the services they need. Thank you, Jesse.
I'm assuming that many of your clients would be eligible for the program Vanessa administers, or at least some of them would be.
Some of them would be.
Okay. Am I to assume, though, that your office is aware of what Vanessa's office
Yes.
offers?
Yes.
Okay. And so is it safe to say that there might be some people who perhaps could not be serviced by your office that can be serviced as a result of this grant?
If I may speak,
Of course.
it is uncommon in the Commonwealth for veterans trips not to be funded through the county shared ride provider. typically there is a contractual arrangement, and using the Veterans Office money would be the last resort. So for example, you know, we go into the Oakland VA, we go to the Butler VA. The issue, because even if the veteran has medical assistance, because the VA clinic is not charging their medical card, it's a free service, that is not an eligible MA, medical assistance trip.
I see.
But other counties, what they will do is they will help pay like the copay if they're over 65 or under 65 years of age with a disability, or, you know, there's some different things. So if I could just offer, if there are trips that Big Daddy cannot accommodate, you know, I know he's one man, so I would love to have the conversation if and when that ever were to occur.
Okay, great. Thank you both. What number would we,
If you don't mind, could we stay in order? Could, we number this 199?
that's
I
fine.
know we're skipping, but.
No, that's
I
fine.
was gonna ask that, are we gonna skip ahead and make this
Could we
183?
do
That confuses
that?
even more.
Yeah, I'll take the blame, no, I'll take the blame.
No, that's fine, but
That's good,
199.
yes.
I'll move for the adoption of resolution 199 for the Veterans Transportation Grant.
I will second.
Thank you. Any other concerns or questions? Okay, thank you both. We'll do a quick roll call.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that very much. And also, Vanessa, thank you. Gentlemen, appreciate your patience.
Yes.
We're going to move on now to, we'll start with proposed resolution 182, I believe.
It'll be 183.
83. Oh, that's right, because we did.
Yeah, Vanessa was 182.
What we're going to do here, we have Mike Grippo from
Yes, we do.
CYS. It's always a pleasure to have you here, sir. You have 7 proposed contract renewals or proposals. And what we'd like for you to do, and this document's always helpful.
Yeah,
Yes, much appreciated. Thank you.
Vanessa's popular because she's
She's
the
here
first
too,
one
right?
on
Oh,
one
my
that we
God.
have.
That's why I stuck around. Well, plus I love your company.
We'd like for you to take these one at a time.
Yeah.
Walk us through them with a summary of each one, and then if you could advise us which of them are renewals and if any of them are new. And then I think what we'd like to do to save time is once you go through all 7, if my colleagues are willing, we can take them as a collective motion.
Absolutely.
But if you're both okay with that. Thank you. So we'll start with proposed resolution 183, Allied Coordinated Transportation, Inc. of Newcastle.
First of all these are all renewals. They range anywhere from no increase to up to 3% increase on what they're charging from last year. Of course, Allied, we did a contract probably about 2 months ago with them. The situation is, as foster homes and stuff are getting farther away, and we only have 2 case aides, sometimes we get in a predicament where we just can't
Need
transport.
transportation.
Yeah,
Right.
so, do you know how many times I don't know how many times we've used you?
6.
6 times, and that was in a short period of time.
Right, sure.
So they're always a great backup in case we get in a predicament where we can't go out and where we would service them for that one.
Thank you for that. Any questions on proposed resolution 183?
My only question is when you transport a juvenile minor, does an adult have to be present or not necessarily because the driver's, I'm just thinking of, the responsibility, just like a kid on a school trip has to have chaperones or teachers on the trip. Is there any other adults that go or just the minor in this particular case?
Yeah, because
It depends upon, that's a great question, and that was something that we did have conversations about. For example, the 6 trips we've done so far, or I should say 6 people, there was only a few more trips. There were 3 siblings that lived in Lawrence County, foster home was in Butler County. And for just a couple of days, while the school districts and CYS worked out a more permanent solution, we were able to jump right in and go to the foster home in Butler County and get the 3 siblings to our Newcastle schools. There was 2 children at the high school and 1 child at George Washington. In that case, there was not an adult, they were a little bit older, they were going to
Teenagers.
school. There was a situation where there was a bio father that needed to get to the hospital to sign paperwork, much needed medical care. We were able to go get him in Wampum and bring him right up. And then the other 2 were also school transportation. So, sorry, I digress. What we had worked out was if a child is 5 or under and they're not going to school, then they absolutely have to have an adult.
I was gonna say, if they're school age or under, they'd ride a school bus to work to school anyway, so this young children would have another person go with them, but the school age and up could ride. I got you. That makes sense.
I'm sorry. And that's part of the variance in the charges. We built in an attendant charge. So if it was a little one and for whatever reason, there was a person or a foster person who could go along, we would provide one of our school bus monitors and add that to the cost of the trip to make sure that that child has that one-on-one plus the driver. So that's why there's so many different rates, just really based on where's the child going, what are their needs and circumstances.
Thank you for that explanation. I'm good.
Thank you. Loretta, any?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, appreciate that on number 183. In our order, my number 184 would be, I believe it's pronounced Alberley?
Yeah.
Alberley?
And actually, Alberley and the Ward House is the same company, but they're 2 different entities. Alberley owns the Ward, but that's number 4. Okay. But Alberley, if you look down, obviously we didn't use them last year either. We had no children there, and or what? Wait, yeah, Alberley, number 3B, we didn't have any children. Again, a period of time when I kept coming, and we had backups. Okay.
Sure.
So that, it's just a company that in case we need them. Okay. And then number 3.
Hold on a second, because just to note, Alberley is based in McKeesport in Allegheny County, and then in our order, the next one we
Yeah,
have is
Families United.
Families United
Yes.
Network of Muncie, which is out in Lycoming County.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean, that might be where the office is.
Mhm.
They might have providers throughout. But if you look at 5B, we last year we had 2 children here. And this year we got 4. Okay, which is a foster care. Again, it's getting harder and harder to place kids in Lawrence County. And sometimes there's different things that child needs that nobody wants them, that, we have to reach out and scramble to find places to send them.
Are there, on both Alberley and Families United, do either of you have questions?
To see what the rates were. Alberley, they didn't have an increase. Family United had a 3%. Actually, if you look at Family United rate increase, what they were asking, so we kind of negotiated down to not much, but a little bit down to where we're trying to get everybody at 3%.
Thank you. Our next one is number 186, which would be Ward Home Inc. of McKeesport.
Yes, that's part of Alberley, who owns it. A couple months ago, I did this resolution to get a contract with, because we had a child we could find any location. And that was one of the locations. Now, it worked out that we ended up finding something. We didn't need them, but we have that contract just in case. So we didn't have to put them in the Ward House. And that was a placement, so we never did have it, but we do have the contract with them.
Brian or Loretta, any questions on Ward Home Inc.?
No.
Thank you. Next on our list is proposed resolution 187, Alternative Living Solutions of Latrobe out in Westmoreland County.
Okay, currently, right now, we have one child that we use, CYS. We didn't have any last year. It was a placement. They didn't have any increase from last year to this year. But again, it's a situation where we start in county, calling, and then we reach out farther. And that's the situation with that.
Any questions, Loretta, Brian?
No.
On this one? Next on number 188 would be Cadence Care Network, parentheses, Home for Kids of Ohio, Inc. of Niles, Ohio.
And again, it was a backup. We had another kid placed in there. I did, like I said, last year when you guys kept seeing, they say maybe it was just backup in case we
Right,
need it,
sure.
in case we need it.
Right.
So we never used them on that.
Questions on that one?
No.
Hearing none, thank you. Then final one is number 189, NHY Family Services of Mars, Butler County.
Yeah, Mars Home for Youth. Actually, that's an in-home program. So we use them. You can see last year we had 22, JPO had 3. This year, same thing. They work 22 and 3. Again, their rates stayed the same. It's an in-home provider. They provide services to both us and JPO. We've used them a lot.
Mr. Burek, any questions?
No question.
Loretta? Those are the 7, and as Mr. Grifo noted, they are all renewals. And I thank you always. These documents are very helpful,
Yeah.
which we appreciate. Before I would entertain a motion to consider resolutions 183 up to and including 189, let me just make certain, any other final questions?
Just a comment, I know I joke with you about coming here, but thank you for all that you as well as our director, John Butt, are doing to keep these contracts at a minimal increase, because I know we've had discussion that a lot of them are asking for a large increase in that. So thank you for everything you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Loretta.
Yes.
Brian?
I just similarly want to thank him for his services he provides, and this chart's very helpful for us to review
Yes.
before we vote on these contracts, but thank you
Yeah,
very
and
much.
you gotta remember, I try to put the whole rate sheet on.
Yes.
Now, we might only use one part of that rate sheet,
Right.
but it gives you an idea of, what that whole rate sheet, because it does get approved. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we only might use the one little part of it, so if you see down the road where one might be a higher rate, we're probably never gonna use that rate. It's the one that we're focusing on, so. I just wanna get it.
Appreciate that clarification. Would one of you be willing to make a motion to approve resolutions 183 up to and including 189?
So moved.
Second.
Final comments or concerns? Motion's been made and appropriately seconded. We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you.
you much.
See you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Appreciate you being here. Mr. Baldwin, Scott Baldwin from our Mental Health and Developmental Services Office has 5 proposed resolutions, if I'm counting correctly. First of all, thank you for your patience this morning. We greatly appreciate it. We'll go through them one by one, starting with number 190. Again, if my colleagues are so willing, if we reach the conclusion of Scott's report, perhaps we can take them as a group. But in our order, we have the first being the Passavant Memorial Home of Warrendale, PA. I'd like to fill us in, Scott.
Sure. Yeah, and as we're doing these contracts, like we've received preliminary notification from the state that our block grant funding will be the same as it was last year. It could go up pending what gets approved. That's why we can sort of do some of this stuff now. These are all renewals from last year, so we kind of know what the costs are going to be. This first one is Passivant. They're out of Rochester, Pennsylvania, and this is an ID provider. I think these are all renewal contracts. They'll run from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. And Passivant provides a variety of home community services for our ID folks. They do in-home respite, homemakers, employment services. So sort of a variety of supports for our ID folks. Their total budget amount for $20,000.
Thank you for that, Scott. Passivant Memorial Homes. Thank you. Mr. Burek, any questions?
No.
Scott, thank you. The next proposed is Resolution 191, Lark Enterprises, Inc., based here in Lawrence County.
I'm sure many of you are all familiar with LARC. They've been a cornerstone really in Lawrence County for many years. They do our employment supports for our ID folks and our mental health folks. There's actually two separate budgets for LARC. For the mental health side, there's $350,000. And again, these are for our mental health folks to work at LARC. Gosh, they've done so many upgrades, their equipment. It's a pretty amazing place. We took a tour there not long ago, and just to see the upgrades they've made. Again, I would just call them a cornerstone for us. But the mental health side is a $350,000 budget. On the ID side, it's $259,936. Again, this is all for fiscal year 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
I always have to say this here, but I'll note again that I do serve on the board of directors of Lark Enterprises. However, it is a volunteer position. None of the board members are compensated. And I've checked with the solicitor to determine, am I able to vote on this? And his answer is, as long as I'm not paid, I'm able to vote on it. But I want to disclose and acknowledge that I do sit on their board, but strictly as a volunteer. So, Brian, questions on Lark?
It's a great organization. I was very familiar. Do they still run the supported workshop employment out on Elwood Road across from West Village Plaza? Yeah, I know I had a neighbor growing up that worked out there, and great program to provide supported employment for people that need that.
They have a new office, relatively new office, also at the RIDC Park in Neshannock Township as well.
Okay, I just saw this Green Ridge Drive address. That's in Neshannock or Wilmington, Neshannock.
Anything else, Brian? No. Loretta?
Thank
Okay, thank
If you don't mind, I do need that paperwork. I just checked, so
the
thank you.
The next proposed resolution 192 would be GSK Apex Enterprises of Newcastle.
Yeah, this is actually an individual, Gary Kinnear. Gary's been doing services for many years for us. Gary does a lot of our testing to see if individuals are eligible to receive funding. He'll do IQ testing and adaptive functioning testing. He'll also do some supportive services as well, just providing support to individuals in the community as those needs arise. So, again, Gary's been doing this for a long time, and we're very glad to have him. His contract amount is for $20,000. Again, that's for fiscal year 2024.
Thank you, Scott. I'll see if Loretta has any concerns. Mr. Burek?
No questions.
Thank you. Proposed resolution 193, the Alliance for Nonprofit Resources of Butler, Pennsylvania.
So A&R, they do our investigations for us. We've got a contract with them. I know Joe's familiar with what this is. And these would be if we get a concern at a provider's office. We historically did those investigations for us, but then also we work and provide them. So sometimes it's nice to have sort of step in and do investigative work. And we contract with A&R to do that. Again, it's the state requirement that they provide that service for us. And this can be quite intense and a lot of work. So sometimes it's nice to have an agency do that. So that's what A&R does. They're out of Butler and they do a great job. That contract amount is for $45,000.
Thank you very much. Mr. Burek, any questions?
No.
Commissioner Spielvogel? Thank you. And then the final proposed resolution, which would be 194, a proposed contract with Dawn Services, Inc. of Newcastle.
Yeah, and Dawn's has been around for quite a while too. They do, again, in-home and community supportive services. This could be a lot of variety of different things. It could be respite care, it could be taking people out shopping, supporting them at home, teaching them how to clean. There's just a variety of things they do. It's all based around an assessment of needs. We contract with Dawn's, we have for quite a while. That contract amount is for $50,000.
Do either of my colleagues have any questions on this last proposal? Thank you. I could then entertain a motion for us to consider resolutions 190 up through and including 194.
I so move for their approval.
Second.
Thank you both. Any other questions or concerns for Mr. Baldwin? I'll ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Spielvogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Burek,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Scott, I just want you to know, and I'm sure I speak for my colleagues, to tell you how much we appreciate your professionalism and your hard work day in and day out, and that of your staff. I know you're across the street. We know you're there, and we know you're doing a good job.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Thank you, Scott. Next on the agenda, this would be proposed resolution 195, and this involves work that ultimately will be taking place on the East Washington Street Bridge, right down the street here in the city of Newcastle. Us old timers call it the
Yes.
Troutman's Bridge. PennDOT is planning eventually to build a new bridge there, and in order to assist them with that, we're looking at a resolution that would, says here, we own a parcel of property near the bridge, and we're indicating that we are willing to provide a temporary easement to PennDOT for the upcoming work that they plan, and that PennDOT has requested the county to execute a waiver of rights, a temporary easement for the construction, and a final settlement document to conform with PennDOT's requirements. And this resolution would then allow us to enter into this agreement with PennDOT. Joe, to your knowledge, if you know, has Mr. Medora had a chance to look at this?
I believe he
Yeah.
has, yes.
The answer is yes?
I worked with them
Oh,
on this, yeah.
okay,
I
great.
reviewed it.
Great, that was the answer I was hoping for. Let me see if Mr. Burek has any questions.
No, I'm glad the bridge is gonna be replaced. I'm just curious, do either of you know any more details than I do on the timing of this? My understanding, I asked at the SPC, Transportation Improvement Plan, public input hearing. My understanding is they're doing all the prep work this year, but the actual replacement of the bridge is scheduled for 2024.
That's
That's
my
your understanding as well.
That's my recollection. I think it's been pushed back a couple of times.
Yes.
But hopefully all the, everybody has seen they're doing the underground utility work that's necessary, putting in all the new sidewalks from the bridge up to the courthouse area. So hopefully by, everything's in place that the bridge can be replaced with no major problems. And this whole corridor from the should look a lot better and be a lot better in a year or two. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Loretta?
Same here. Yes, it's, you get stuck in that traffic and you wonder, but you have to always think on the positive side.
That's right.
What it will be. So.
And I will always as well.
We're showing our age.
I was still I remember going shopping there as a kid on Monday, Thursday evenings. They stayed open late and
Right.
go downtown shopping.
Debbie, you would probably remember that when Troutman's was up and running, they always had their ads on the back page of the Newcastle News,
Oh, did they?
always on the last page.
I don't remember the ads, but I remember the building, the store.
Right.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing is that the east side of the bridge, where Croton Avenue intersects with East Washington Street, that part of the street is state maintained. When you cross into downtown, That part of East Washington Street is maintained by the city. But the bridge itself is PennDOT's responsibility. So, well, this is proposed resolution 194. May I have a motion, please?
195, the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa.
Sure.
So moved.
Second,
Thank you both for resolution 195. Any other comments or concerns? If not, we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. We, a couple of meetings ago, announced publicly that there were 2 openings on the Lawrence County Airport Authority. By law, we're required to make those appointments. The authority is an independent, autonomous agency, but again, the commissioners have the responsibility of appointing the board members. We did receive letters from both incumbents, Mr. Douglas Varensky of North Beaver Township and Mr. Frank Ferrone of the city of Newcastle. They have both indicated a desire to be reappointed. This would be for a 5-year term for each of these gentlemen. Resolution 196 would be Mr. Varensky. Resolution 197 would be Mr. Ferrone. If you are willing, I could entertain a motion for both if you so desire. If you want me to split them out, I can do that as well.
I'll move for the approval of resolutions 196 and 197.
I will second.
I thank you both. Loretta, any concerns? Thank you, Mr. Burek.
To my knowledge, we announced it 2 weeks in a row, and both individuals expressed interest in remaining on the board. I did not receive any other letters or emails from anyone else expressing interest, so thank them for their willingness to continue to serve on the board.
I would agree.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to consider both resolutions 196 and 197. Could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next proposed resolution is 198. We also have the responsibility of appointing members to the Workforce Investment Board, which is administered by West Central Job Partnership. The board consists of volunteers from both Lawrence and Mercer counties. We're required to appoint the Lawrence County representatives. Mercer County does likewise with their folks. I've got to be honest, maybe I missed something, but in the past, we've usually gotten notification from Mr. Dogan's office that these terms are coming up and that we need to vote.
I did get an email, Dan, from Greg Dogan.
You did, but it went to you. I don't think it came to the 3 of us, did it?
No, in the past, I think the last time it came to me as well.
Yeah, and I know in previous years, Greg would generally contact us and say, hey, here's who we're thinking about. I don't want to vote no for these people, but by the same token, I guess I'm seeing it, well, not for the first time, obviously, Vanessa gave us our packet yesterday, if I recall, or no, it was Friday, because you have to post it. But it is hitting me a little bit cold. I'm open to your thoughts. I'm not against these folks, don't get me wrong. If the 2 of you want to move forward, I will say this, I'm willing to vote affirmatively, but I think when we have our next West Central Governing Board meeting in a couple of weeks, I think we need to let Mr. Dogan know that he needs to communicate, no disrespect, Vanessa, but he needs to communicate directly with us about these things. Those are my thoughts. I'm open to whatever you folks might think.
I agree with you. I would have expected that we would have had a discussion on this before we do this in our next West Central Board meeting is 2 weeks from today. I would rather look at the whole board and whose terms expired before we vote on it. So can we, I'd make a motion. Can we table this?
That would be in order.
Fine. I'll second. Sure.
Motion's been made to table, it's been seconded. All in favor of tabling, please say aye.
Aye.
No opposing vote, motion, the proposed resolution 198 is tabled. Thank you.
This would go before their board as well, Mercer County.
Well, Mercer County would have, yeah, they have different names.
Okay.
Yeah, they would have Mercer County residents as
Okay.
well. So I'm assuming that the timing is probably
Same.
the same.
Mhm. Right.
Thank you. We did already approve Resolution 199. That was from the Veterans Office. The next one is proposed Resolution 200. And this involves the opioid fund revenue account. We're increasing that line item by $25,000. And then we are, for the expense side of it, we are increasing the coroner-hospital postmortems line item account by the same amount. Now, I don't want to put Loretta on the spot, but I think I'm going to have to do that. Do you have any knowledge of this? And
This was an approval from our opioid advisory board. This is one of the projects that were approved. And it's because it is a county entity, then that's what involves the county and then
Gotcha.
a separate item that would had to be set up, yeah.
But generally, we can't cut a county entity a check. It
Right.
doesn't do any good.
Right.
Positive back, so we had to create a line item, basically, or be able to put the money into
Into the
this
coroner's
line item.
account, yeah.
totally understood, and as we've noted before, Commissioner Spielvogel chairs the opioid advisory board, so I figured this would not be a surprise to you.
No.
And I figured between the two of you, you'd be able to give us a good explanation. Mr. Burek, any questions about this?
So just so I understand, this is opioid settlement money that
Yes.
we're able to then help the coroner's expense budget with the, due to the unfortunate large number of overdose deaths in the county that can cover the required autopsies and post-mortem exams. So
Yes,
I think unfortunately, it's a good use of the money.
and there was some testing that he will be able to with this money to get like a 24-hour turnaround on different postmortem testing.
Toxicologies.
Yes.
Anything else?
I mean, that question probably for the coroner itself. Is there what's the closest lab that can do those toxicology reports? Is there any in Lawrence County, or do they go to Pittsburgh, or? I'm sure I can find out from the coroner.
I would say Beaver. If
That's where they do a lot of the
not-
autopsies.
But that's yes.
That's fine. I'm fine with the resolution.
I am also. I apologize, did we get a motion on this one?
No.
Not yet. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Loretta. Is there a second?
Second, and that's resolution 200.
200,
Yes.
that's correct. Thank you. Thank you both. Any further comments or concerns? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you, Loretta.
Sure. No problem.
Proposed resolution 201 is also a budget amendment. This involves our liquid fuels account. We're taking $4,405 from the prior year balance revenue line item, transferring it into other minor equipment expense line item, both of which pertain to liquid fuels. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Joe, it does say on the back, the reason is for purchase of a trailer.
That is correct. Currently, in order to take care of the 911 center and some of the other locations, they're driving the mowers on the street right now. We thought it'd be safer and more feasible to be able to purchase a trailer.
I said it jokingly and I could not believe that
Yes.
it was legit. So vehemently, yes.
It's funny you say that.
Yes.
Last week, I went up
Oh.
County Line Road to go up to Cascade Street, and I saw a guy coming on a mower down. I went past, I said, that's one of our maintenance guys, and it was, he was coming back from the public safety building. So I agree, a trailer's probably a
Yes.
safer way to get the mower.
Yes.
In addition with the parks we now own and the different
Right.
work that goes on out there, even some of it we're responsible for, some is contracted out, but we needed a way to get equipment from point A to point B.
I assume we checked, this is a legitimate
Yes.
liquid fuel expense?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
the state told us so.
Yes, sir.
Okay, on this proposal. May I have a motion for resolution 201?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Any other comments or concerns? Hearing none, ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. The last item of business under new business is a transfer request from Mental Health Developmental Services. They are asking for a $10,000 transfer from their department's contingency line item into that of office equipment. And they are asking for a $200,000 transfer from mental health administrative management line item into that of mental health community services line item. So accordingly, the transfer amount total is $210,000. Mr. Baldwin is here in case either of you have any questions, but I'll see if Loretta has any concerns.
I'm assuming that this is monies that generally happen at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that, well, the ones is computers for the whole office. I think that's, I mean, our fiscal people are moving it around. I think that's part of the other, I think is, again, it's just moving into line items to cover expenses. I'm not exactly sure what that expense is, but it's, you're right, Loretta, it's end of the year cleaning things up, so.
Mr. Burek?
I was just gonna ask which office equipment, is there a set schedule to replace computers or on an as-needed basis?
He just came over last week. Some of them were making noises as they ran, you know. And he came over and built it off. He looked at everybody's and, you know, I mean, some of them are when Joe was there. So we just decided it's time to
They're
upgrade.
ancient.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There's a rat that will run around the wheel.
Yeah.
Answer.
Jeez.
I believe a large group of the computers, if I remember correctly, they're 6 years old. And they were
Yes.
donated back, the ones back to our IT department to distribute back out throughout the courthouse.
I think and we have that new position coming too. Some of that is,
Set of
Like a
office.
desk.
and that, right.
there's a few things in there. So
That makes sense. The state has a 4-year recycle, 4-year replacement schedule for all state computers, because after you hit 5 computers, all they slow down,
Yes.
but the different bugs, different problems crop up with them, so yeah, it's very good. I'll support the transfer.
Thank you. Would you be willing to make a motion for the transfer?
I move that we approve the transfer of funds within MHDS's budget.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Loretta. Any other concerns or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Scott. Ray, we have one resolution on the table. I assume that the desire would be keep it there for the time being. We have no ordinances for consideration. We have a couple of announcements. Keep in mind that next Tuesday is Independence Day, so consequently the courthouse will be closed on July 4. We will be open on Monday, July 3, but we will be closed on July 4. So as a result, there will not be a commissioners meeting next Tuesday. We will convene as a Board of Commissioners 2 weeks from today, Tuesday, July 11 at 10 a.m. As of right now, I'm going out of order here, but the county's opioid advisory committee board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July 11th.
Yes, because we were also scheduled for July 4th. Right.
And that'll be at noon.
Right.
Planning Commission is scheduled for its monthly meeting for Wednesday, July 12 at 12 noon at the Mahoning Township Municipal Building on US Route 224. And then I goofed up last week. I noted that we had an advertised salary board meeting that we were canceling, and I thought it was last Tuesday. I was wrong. It was scheduled for today. There is no business to be brought before the salary board, so accordingly, that meeting is canceled due to a lack of any agenda items.
Yeah.
Let me then see if there are any public comments. Debbie, I have your packet for you, but anything you need to know?
I just had a couple of questions. The two airport appointments. Do you know how long they've both been on the board?
I can tell you that I think Mr. Ferrone's been on longer than Mr. Verensky, but that's about the best I can do.
If you come upstairs, I have the records, I can get it for you.
I think that's, they've both been on a while, but I think Mr. Ferrone's been on longer.
It's been on quite a while, I think.
You had a couple other questions?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Debbie. No other public comment? Comments, Commissioner Spielvogel?
None.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Burek? Nothing. Thank you. Joe or Vanessa, have we our knowledge? Thank you. Appreciate everybody being here today, and sorry we ran a little bit long, but well, thank you. May I then have an adjournment motion?
So
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Motion is carried. We're adjourned. Here you are. That's for
Thank
you. Joe, I'll get you one of these.
I appreciate that. I was looking at it as you went through.
I'll get you a copy, and I'm gonna give Debbie my copy.
very nice.
So was that back in the day when Walpole had multiple state championships?